This is the first Only Fools and Horses podcast with me, Chris Watts.
And Emily.
Hello, I'm Chris Brayton.
Great. So let's start then. What's everybody's favourite episode? Emily first.
Mine is Time on Our Hands.
And why is that?
The whole series is like, obviously, because they've gone from being poor and struggling to then having this pocket watch, and then it's like worth millions. And then obviously, like, Rodney buys Del the rolls, and it's just like as a thank you gift. It's just my whole all-time favourite. Makes you cry. It's a mixture of all emotions.
It's definitely one of the best episodes, isn't it? What I love about it is that they've had this watch in their lockup all this time that they've been struggling as well. That's one of the lines in it, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, I watched that one the other day. Yeah, the Rodney used to document the receipts, didn't he, of what they used to collect, and they had the receipt for it as well, didn't they? So
thankfully.
Yeah, thankfully, it might have been a bit of trouble, but the watch did exist, didn't it? I mean, it's never been found, has it? The actual, is it John Harrison watch, wasn't it?
The lesser watch.
The lesser watch, yeah. Was it a fob watch, did they call it? Did they use it for at sea or something, for navigation or something?
Yeah, it was something like that. I mean, that was brilliant from John Sullivan, because I think at the time they were thinking that maybe Del and Rodney would win the lottery, but this was much better, wasn't it?
Yeah, the watch as well, the one they used in the show, the prop, that was sold at auction, I think, last year as well. Went for, I think, hundreds of thousands in the end.
Wow.
Yeah. So the significance of it, I suppose, wasn't it? It was the actual, the only prop that they used really for that, wasn't it? So yeah, that was went for a lot of money.
That was probably my favourite episode as well, Emily. I mean, the fact they've been struggling all these years and they finally get the money. I think as well, I think it's one of the most watched episodes ever on TV.
Yeah.
Do you know how many did actually watch it?
I can find out.
I can tell you.
Go on then.
Yeah. It was 1996, the episode. I think it was the 29th of December. They showed those Christmas trilogies, Christmas Day, 27th, and then the 29th, and there was 24.3 million, which was half the population.
Wow. It says 24.1 million here.
Oh, I'm sorry. There you go. I do try. I do exaggerate sometimes.
Wow.
Biggest UK audience still. I think that's still the top viewing figures for a show.
I doubt that'll ever be beaten, especially now with TV.
No. Comedies aren't how they used to be.
No, and there's, like you say, there's more channels, isn't there, as well? And the way we watch now, you can watch on catch up and things, can't you? We don't watch much live anymore, really, do we? The way we.
No, I don't at all now, really.
No.
But back in the day, you did, didn't you? You'd look at the TV guide. You'd be like, "What's on this Saturday night?" Or
Yeah, the TV Times was massive, wasn't it, at Christmas? You got that and started highlight things that you want to watch. Obviously, Only Fools and Horses. That was what Christmas Day was about, wasn't it, years ago? Only Fools and Horses.
It wasn't Christmas. You watched Only Fools and Horses.
No, definitely no. I think it run for on Christmas Day, I think it run for about 10 years. To Hullenbach was the first one they did, I think, Christmas Day. And then all the way to... what was the last one they did? I'm trying to think. They did
Sleepless in Peckham.
Sleepless in Peckham, didn't they? Yeah.
Batman Robin, isn't it?
They were the 96 trilogies, and then they brought it back for 3 more episodes, didn't they? Where they lost the money. Lost the money. They invested it in the futures market, I think, wasn't it? And it crashed, didn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Mm.
Lots of people didn't necessarily like it when it came back, but I didn't mind, to be honest.
No.
The clever thing was as well with John Sullivan being a great writer. He did a couple of things. He called it his safety net. Apparently, in Time on Our Hands episode, in the flat, the last scene in the flat, Del Boy says he's buying. I think he says something about him buying the flat, because he said that what happens with flats normally that are rented, another family would have moved in. So that was his safety net. If Del Boy bought the flat, then they could actually move back.
Yes.
Back in the flat. So that was quite clever. I thought he said he did that on purpose as a safety net. just in case they came back. So
I always think that's a very sad scene in Time in Our Hands as well, when they leave the flat and he hears the voices, doesn't he? He hears the voice of his mum and of Grandad, I think.
Grandad and his dad.
Oh,
yeah.
his dad, yeah.
And Grandad.
And Grandad, right. All three of them, yeah. That's a very sad scene, isn't it?
It is very. I think the saddest scene for me in that one is when Del Boy and Rodney in the lift and they're talking about Cassandra's marriage. I think that's the saddest one for me.
I've got that down as the saddest moment, actually, a one of, yeah. Obviously, we'll go into that more detail, will we, later on about the saddest moments, or?
Oh, we can do it now, as it's
right.
If it comes up in the conversation, we can just naturally talk about it.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Yeah, the few stand out for me saddest moments. I think Grandad's funeral in Strained Relations. And then, like you say, the Rodney and Del Boy in the lift in Time in Our Hands, where they're discussing Cassandra and Rodney losing the baby. I thought another one, Rodney and Cassandra's wedding in Little Problems.
When Del Boy looks at Rodney and then Rodney looks at Del Boy, like across the room.
It was, I thought, when Del Boy takes the groom figurine off the cake, I thought that was the bit, and he's got it, and holding back the ears is playing in the background, Simply Red.
It makes me cry.
Yeah, and he sort of looks up, doesn't he, and say, I'm going to cope without Rodney now.
Yeah.
Because as Marlene says, he's been a mother and father to Rodney, hasn't he? All those years. And yeah, to lose him, it's sad, isn't it?
Just very sad.
They needed each other, didn't they, really? Obviously, Del Boy was the support, but, Del needed Rodney as well, didn't he?
Yeah. Because it's the only bit of family he had left, isn't it? Apart from Uncle Albert and stuff, but Rodney was his main family, wasn't he?
He was. That was another. Funny enough, that Time in Our Hands episode, I'd got that down as another two sad moments. Not emotional, perhaps not sad. When Rodney buys Del Boy the Rolls Royce at Boyce's.
We were talking about that earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite sad. When they embrace, don't they? They hug.
Yeah, it makes me cry. And there's another one that makes me cry. It's not sad. It's when Raquel has Damien and Del's got him in his arms and he's just talking about like how he's going to grow up and how he's looking up at the sky for his mum and granddad. That's another one that makes me cry.
Yeah, definitely is one. Yeah, good one that. And Time in Our Hands, the other one that's quite emotional, is when they go into the Nag's Head after they've got the money and everyone starts applauding, don't they? The whole cast.
Yeah. That's great, isn't it?
Yeah, that was genuine, I think, as well, wasn't it? I don't know even if they prompted to all clap like that, but everyone just got up and clapped them all, didn't they? So
it seemed very natural, didn't it? Like how they all just started clapping. It was very
not staged.
Yeah. And Mike was quite emotional, wasn't he? Because I think
on the house, he says.
On the house, yeah, and he's quite choked, isn't he, doing that?
Yeah. And what you were saying earlier, Emily, about the scene with Del telling his son that he's going to have everything that he didn't have, that is very sad, but in a good way.
A good sad, but it's like, obviously they've both been through a lot, but Del has been through a lot. Obviously lost his mum, his dad ran off, and then obviously having to raise Rodney. I think he gave Rodney a really good life. Trying to think of what to say. That's
all right. It's fine. Don't worry, because whenever we stop running out of things to say, I'll just edit it so it will sound natural. So don't worry.
Yeah. Sorry. Going back to my favourite episodes, because it's tough. I've put that it's a tough question. That there's 64 episodes they made. I don't know if you know that, but there's 64 episodes they made. My favourite's the Chandelier episode. Touch of Glass, when they're up on the ladders, brace yourself, Rodney, brace yourself, and then obviously Grandad lets go of the wrong chandelier. Del's hang gliding. The Tifa 3 episode, that's a brilliant one, isn't it, as well?
That's a really good one.
That's where Rodney, Del gets Rodney, doesn't he, in the sunbed. He leaves him in there and he comes out. That's funny.
It's one of the few times that Rodney actually gets one over Del, really. isn't it? It's one of the when he really outsmarts Del, doesn't he? There,
Yeah.
You know, he's really conned Del, hasn't he? To say, oh yeah, well, I'll say the phone's ringing. So Del gets all set up, doesn't he? Ready in all the gear. Oh, come on, I'm getting impatient here, and then he starts realising Del's face, doesn't he?
We haven't got a phone.
Yeah, you know, when's Rodney going to come in and say, when is the phone ringing? So Del has to say, doesn't he? Is that our phone I can hear ringing, Rodney? And Rodney goes, no. Are you sure? Yeah, we haven't got a car phone. And then his face just drops, doesn't it? Thinking, I'm going to have to jump off this cliff now.
Yep. I think my other favourite one is when Del puts Rodney in for that, is it the cornflakes competition? And then they go on holiday and he has to pretend like he's 14 and a half. And then they win the lottery.
Groovy Gang.
Yeah, Groovy Gang, yeah.
But obviously because of him saying he's 14 and a half, they couldn't claim the money.
That's right.
And that is just so typical, isn't it? I mean, that would happen to them. They win it, but they can't claim the money.
Yep.
You know, sorry, go on. Sorry, Emily.
No, it's all right. Go on.
I was going to say, though, my favourite episode, which a lot of fans probably say that it's theirs, I think stands head and shoulders above any. Do you know what I'm going to say? Which episode?
I think you're going to surprise us.
Yeah. Jolly Boy's outing for me.
Oh, you're not?
No, it's... And I think it's when they go to Margate. I think because it's the best, in my opinion, because all the characters are in the episode. There's some memorable moments. Del Boy saying at the beginning, Trivia Pursuit game, what's a female swan called? And he calls it a bick, doesn't he? Rodney kicking the ball at the policeman in the coach when they're about to leave the halfway house. It hits the policeman.
And then the coach gone on fire.
The coach exploding. Yeah, that's right. Del Boy meeting Raquel in the Mardi Gras, wasn't it? The club. That was quite good when he shouts over at her and she shouts back. She's on stage and all the pigeons go everywhere. And then Del Boy throwing the brick at the window and it hits Albert on the head, doesn't it, when he's in bed, which we don't realise at the time, do we? But then in the flat after, he's got a big plaster on his head, hasn't he?
You've also got Rodney knocking out the yuppie, don't you, in that episode? You
do at the end, yeah. Just got so much going on in that episode for me, yeah.
Del Boy throws Raimondo's suitcase out the window and he hits Boise.
He does, that's right.
It was Boise, wasn't it?
It was. They were walking home from the nightclub, I think, weren't they, Boise and Mike? Yeah.
We didn't realise and
go on. Sorry.
I didn't realise it until the end when Del Boy's on the phone to Raquel and then Uncle Albert tells Del Boy what happened.
Yeah, it all ties up then, doesn't it? Like you say, yeah, it does. Yeah. I'm old enough to remember that one. 89 that was. I remember watching that one. And then the buzz at school, and I remember the buzz at school. You know, everybody was talking about it when we went back to school. You know how good it was. For me, that was the peak, actually. You know, Series 6 and Jolly Boy's Outing was the absolute peak of the show. I thought it was at its absolute best. Don't know what your thoughts are, but I thought that was when it was. That Series 6 for me is, if I did a top 10 episodes, most of those episodes in Series 6 would be in my top 10.
I think in Series 6, is it the Blow Up Dolls one? Is that in that one, or is that Series 5?
Yeah, you're correct. But it was the first time they did the 50-minute episodes as well, didn't they? David Jason and Nick Lyndhurst more David Jason, I think. He didn't want to do any more 30-minute episodes because he said it was criminal how much good footage they were throwing away on the 30-minute ones. So when they went to 50 minutes, they could obviously put more content in there, you know, so it wasn't getting wasted, it was all getting used. Series 6 is Chain Gang with the chains and the painting one that Emily mentioned before as well. He falls through the bar, Yuppie Love, where he first meets Cassandra. They get married as well, that one as well is in there, isn't it? I think Little Problems, that one is. The wedding one, and then there's that's
with the Driscoll brothers, isn't it? I always find that to be a sad scene as well when Del takes the beating, and you know, Rodney thinks that he hasn't got the money from Del, but Del has got the money, hasn't he? Because he's taken a beating from the Driscoll brothers.
On about Del taking a beating, there's another one that I find quite sad. I can't remember the episode, like the name of it, but it's when he's seeing what's her name? Her husband's Tommy McKay.
Irene McKay.
The one.
Irene, yeah.
Takes the beating because Tommy thought it was Rodney.
Yeah.
Del took the beating.
It's because he's having a fling with Tommy McKay's missus, isn't he? And he's in prison, and he gets out of prison. Yeah.
And the twist is, isn't it, that Del's at the Nag's Head all beaten up, and Rodney reveals that him and Irene have split up. Anyway, so he took a beating for nothing, really, didn't he? In the end.
My saddest moment actually comes from the last episode, Sleepless in Peckham, when Rodney asked Del if he's anything like his father, Freddie the Frog, Rob Dole. For me, that is such a sad scene at the graveyard.
It's a very sad scene.
It always gets to me, every time.
There was always that doubt whether they were brothers, wasn't it? In the show, they always had that little doubt, didn't they? That they were so different, weren't they? Del Boy's small, Rodney's tall, and very different characters as well, weren't they?
Very different.
Mm.
I don't know if you've seen, but have you seen Rock and Chip?
Rock and Chips, yeah.
Yes, prequels, yeah.
That shows where Rodney actually came from, doesn't it? From Freddie the Frog. I love that one as well.
I thought they were, I don't know about you guys, but I thought they were really, really good. And like you say, interesting, isn't it? How it all came about, really. Yeah, I thought they were really good episodes. They were different, weren't they? I don't think they were deemed as being funny, were they? But they were really well written, I thought, and really well put together.
Yeah, I thought they were more serious.
A lot more serious. I thought Jay, from the In-Betweeners, can't remember his actor's name, like his real name. But I think he played Del Boy really well, considering obviously it's a hard character to live up to. And I think he played him really well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I thought he did.
You could see him as a young Del Boy, and also you had the granddad who was Phil Daniels. I thought that was good as well. Good casting.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah. What was that? Yeah, I would actually say that they could possibly do more of those. I know. Unfortunately, John Sullivan has sadly passed away, but his two sons do a bit of writing. I think John as well had left some diaries, and some scripts as well. He'd actually planned to do more episodes of Rock and Chips, I think, and then he passed away suddenly. So I don't know. Obviously, they haven't done any more, but I think there's more possibility of that, isn't there? Of doing more of those. That they could. It's like the Only Fools and Horses. The actors, unfortunately, have passed away now, haven't they? A lot of the actors, and Del Boy's getting older, and Rodney's getting older, but they could do more Rock and Chips. It's quite more easy to cast that, isn't it? I would have thought.
It is. And it'll be nice to see sort of Rodney growing up, because we've seen Del Boy when he was younger, but we haven't really seen Rodney when he was younger, other than a baby. So it'd be nice to watch him grow from a baby to Rodney.
Yeah.
Yeah. They could even set it, really, couldn't they? Like you say, they could set it. I don't know, Rodney being in his teenage years, couldn't they, or something? So Del Boy's going to be roughly about 30, so probably set it 10, 15 years before Big Brother Series 1.
What I liked about it was that Nicholas Lyndhurst was part of Freddie the Frog, wasn't he? And that was very different for him. It was good acting, I thought.
It was. It's nice to see him as different characters, as Rodney and then as Freddie the Frog. Obviously, Freddie the Frog's obviously more serious than Rodney is. And obviously, there's a suit.
He was quite a tough guy, wasn't he, Freddie the Frog? But interestingly, they got some similar traits. He liked the arts, didn't he, Freddie the Frog? And Rodney did, didn't he?
Yeah, there were a couple of things. Yeah. And that's the thing about that scene, going back to that sad scene. He says, "You're nothing like your father," doesn't he? And then he lists all these things that he's not. And yeah, that always gets me.
Very sad.
What did you think? Did you think they should have left it winning the millions, or did you think it was right to bring it back for another 3 episodes?
I can actually see it from both sides, to be honest. I mean, of course, when they won, you're not going to get better than Time on Our Hands, are you? Really, in terms of the ending, how it finished. But I was happy when it came back as well. So,
what did you think, Emily? Did you think they should have left it or bring it back?
Yes and no, but I was in Time on Our Hands when Del Boy's got this nice house. He doesn't look happy. He's happy, but he doesn't look happy as he did when he lived in the flat. Like, I'm trying to word it properly.
Yeah, he did say, didn't he, in the flat when they won the money, I've lost
the chase is over.
The chase is over, yeah. And then they got the phone call, didn't they, about the I think is it Lenny? I forget, Lenny Morris, I think it was. He got some fires, I think, hadn't he? So he says to he says to Rodney, we can double our money on this. And I think Rodney says, "Can't you hear me over those trousers?" He's got these loud trousers on, yellow trousers, and Rodney says, "We're not in the business anymore, mate." And he suddenly, like you say, Emily, he suddenly realizes, doesn't he, that
it's like this on, if you get what I mean. Like, Del Boy's always had this spark and this like confidence about him, and then when he's in that big house, it's like it's all just disappeared.
I think that's how it would be in real life as well if you won the lottery, because you're so used to your community, your world that you live in, and then you don't have it anymore, do you? Because you've got so much money. That's the other side of it.
But with his comfort, like the flat and the market and the briefcase and the van, that was all his comfort. And it's all like been taken away from him, as you will.
Yeah, the dream all along was to be millionaires, wasn't it? That's the irony of it, really. Yeah, they always wanted to be millionaires, but like you say, he wasn't as happy when he'd won the millions, sort of thing. But that again was clever, though. At the end of Time on Our Hands, when they go into the sunset, they say they're going to invest in the futures market. So again, that rung true, that it did crash apparently about 6 months after the show was broadcast. You know, so it all again clever writing, really. You know,
that scene always makes me cry when they're walking off into the sunset.
What I probably didn't like about the last 3 episodes, because I can't be negative about Only Fools and Horses, because it's brilliant. Even the last 3 episodes were great. I wouldn't say they were brilliant, but they were great. But I don't think it worked as well because some of the actors had passed away, like Mike from The Nag's Head, and particularly Uncle Albert. I think it needs that third cog. Do you think it needs Albert? It needs Grandad.
Yeah, it needs the original actors in there and actresses. That's what Only Fools and Horses cast is. It's not the same without Grandad or Uncle Albert or Mike.
Again, again, brilliant, wasn't it? I mean, it had a problem, didn't it, when Leonard Pierce sadly passed away? What were they going to do? I think they thought there'd be no more episodes, and then he suddenly had this idea of bringing, I think, Uncle Albert's Grandad's brother, isn't he, in the show?
It was brilliant because apparently at the time they were thinking of introducing a woman character as the auntie, and as David Jason said, that wouldn't have worked because we would have been like, get in the back of the van, and it couldn't have worked. But Buster Merrifield, I mean, perfect replacement for Grandad. I mean, during the war he was fantastic. Yeah.
And he wasn't an actor either, was he? I can't remember what he did before, but he's never done that. That was the one.
Yeah.
I think he played Uncle Albert really well, considering, like I said, he has no actor background or anything like that. He did really well.
Do you know what? Between them two, though, I couldn't choose between them. I think they're both brilliant in their own right. It's a bit like choosing your favourite child, isn't it? It's just, you can't do it. It's impossible, isn't it, really? I just think Grandad was a bit more dozy, and he was like a terrible cook, wasn't he? And a real laid-back character. I thought his best moment, and they always talk about this in Healthy Competition, when he says to Rodney, what you got, a Wendy ass? And that brought the house down, apparently. You know, that David Jason, Nick Lyndhurst said they'd got about 3 minutes of dialogue, and then Leonard Pierce, Grandad, just come in with that, what you got, a Wendy house, and it brought the live audience, brought the house down. And whenever there was a funny moment after that, they called it a Wendy, you know, referring to that.
Wow.
Yeah, they called it a Wendy when they had a real funny moment.
I think with the live audiences as well, that's something that made it, because they would always up their game, wouldn't they, with a live audience watching the show.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like Albert, I think his character, he could cook actually, couldn't he? I think he was more able, wasn't he? Somehow he enjoyed a rum, but he'd always go on about his days at sea, wouldn't he? I don't know about you, but my favourite moment for Albert was when in Rodney Come Home, Rodney's taking out. He's married to Cassandra at this point, and he's taken out Tanya from the Quick Fit exhaust centre. So Del tells Albert and says, "Look, when he tells us, act shocked." But Albert kept butting in before Rodney had said about taking the lady out. Yeah, yeah, and you can see David Jason Del Boy laugh, can't you, on the show when he smacks him with the paper.
He's trying not to laugh, isn't he?
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah, it is good. There's a few times I notice Tessa Peak Jones, Raquel laughs in Stage Fright. You know, when they're back at the flat and Del Boy says something in French and she's sitting on the sofa and you can see her laughing as well. But it must have been hard not to laugh.
Yeah, that's a great episode as well, Stage Fright. I mean, with Tony Angelino, can't pronounce his R's. It's just hilarious, isn't it? The whole thing.
That was great. Good again. I mean, they're all good series, aren't they? But really, that was a 50-minute series, wasn't it? Series 7, that was, wasn't it?
It's hard to pick which one's your favourite because they're all good in their own way. And I don't think there's a bad episode. I don't think. There's a few that I don't necessarily like, but I don't hate them. You
can still watch it. Yeah, definitely.
How often would you say you watch Only Fools and Horses? Once a week, once a month, every day?
Every day. Yeah,
I'm the same. I watch at least one episode every day. Normally, watch it in bed. You know, before I'm ready to go sleep. Yeah, just put one on.
Yeah. When I had my second open heart surgery when I was 6, I remember being in hospital and all I wanted to do was watch Only Fools and Horses, but back then they didn't have they had DVDs, but in hospitals only had videos, and they never had Only Fools and Horses because it's a children's hospital.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So, but as soon as I got home, all I watched while I recovered, it hurt to laugh, but I still laughed. Oh. It was that bit of pain, but it's always my favourite series.
I think it is a comfort. Sorry, Chris. I think it is a comfort thing, isn't it? I know, I've had a few things in my life, sort of thing, and it does cheer you up, doesn't it? Whenever you're a little bit down, it does cheer you up somehow, doesn't it? It makes you forget about everything and puts you in a good place.
It does.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, with me, I've watched it for a long time, and a lot of it is also you can relate to the character. I can relate to a lot of the characters and the situations that they find themselves in.
Yeah, you're right. You've all in your group of friends, you've all got a trigger, haven't you, sort of thing, and you've always got someone who's a bit of a Del Boy, somebody, hey, I've got this for sale, or I've got that for sale. You know, do you want one of these, sort of thing? And then you've probably got a sensible friend like Rodney, haven't you, as well? So then you could see your own granddad or your own dad, a bit of Albert or a bit of granddad in your parents and your grandparents, can't you? I think.
With me, David Jason reminds me of my dad. Like the similarities, do you know when he's playing Del Boy, like some of the faces and some of the actions just remind me of my dad, and it's so comforting. I'm a daddy's girl. I'm 23, but my dad's best friend, and I'll love watching it because just seeing my dad is in David Jason.
I'm the same actually, because my dad's a Londoner as well, and he's so much like my dad. It's hilarious, and he's even got this picture from the 80s. He won't put it on Facebook. I wish he would, of him with one of those big phones and a cigar in the other hand. It's brilliant. He looks exactly like Del Boy. But you're right. I see a lot of my dad in David Jason as well. He probably won't like that, but some of his good points, you know.
He wasn't going to play. He wasn't. John Sullivan hadn't cast David Jason, had he? He was about the 4th or 5th choice, wasn't he, to play Del Boy?
I think so.
Yeah. There was Slater, Roy Slater character. He Jim Broadbent, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who's gone on to do brilliant things in film. He was asked to play the part before David Jason, and I think the reason David Jason got the part was Ray Butt, who cast the actors. He knew David Jason, and he was watching an episode of Open All Hours where David Jason's in the back kitchen doing a solo piece, and it suddenly dawned on him. Ray Butt thought, David Jason could do that, but John Sullivan didn't think that David Jason could play that type of role because he'd always played the dozy character, really, or an older character.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Roy Slater. He's in some great episodes, isn't he? I love that one in the police station where Dale gets him at the end.
Yeah, I think one of my favourite ones is when Raquel's pregnant. Is it a school reunion?
Class of '62.
That's the one. And he's like, "Why is the picture of my wife at the table?"
Yeah, he'd con them with the school reunion, really, just to get into Del Boy's flat, wasn't it? Just to confirm that it was Raquel living there. That was quite funny when Raquel comes back, and obviously they realise Roy Slater was married to Raquel, and Roy Slater looks at the three trotters and goes, "Well, which one?" As if, she could be with Uncle Albert, say. Yeah, that's quite...
I couldn't imagine him as Del Boy, though. I know it's because we know David Jason as Del Boy. And he's a great actor, Jim Broadbent. He's been in lots of films and TV, but I couldn't imagine him as Del Boy.
There we go.
There you are.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. So, I don't know if you can see the pictures, can you, on the wall there?
Wow.
So...
Got lots of memorabilia.
Yeah. One of my favourites, the door up there. The guy that makes those doors. I want a nose cone, the front bit of the van as well. I want one of those. That's my next thing. And I've got the bar. You see the bar now better, can you?
Oh, I love the cookie jar.
Yeah, one of my favourite things, the cookie jar. I must admit. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Chris is just doing a little tour of his flat. It's brilliant. It's like Del Boy's flat,
isn't it? Wow, love the wallpaper.
Yeah, the only problem with the wallpaper is it's actually silver, unfortunately.
You can't see. You can't
tell.
That.
No, you can't tell, can you? It's in the dark a bit, so it looks good. Yeah, and then if I just swing round that way, I've got loads of. Could you see the records make someone who's not a fan would think, why has he got them records stuck there? But obviously you guys would know why I've got those records, wouldn't you?
Shawaddy.
What can you see? One's Kylie Minogue. So what episode was that one?
I can't remember. I remember the Walking on the Moon one. Do you remember?
Yeah.
It's the only police record I got is Walking on the Moon.
Well, the Kylie Minogue LP is at the start of Jolly Boy's outing when he's in the market and he's selling a radio. Do you remember the car radio?
Yes.
And it explodes on the coach.
Yeah. So he's selling the
explode.
Exactly. Yeah, he's selling the record with that radio, and the Tubular Bells one. He said, Raquel says, "Would you get me a Bruce Oldfield number?" She meant address, obviously, didn't she? So he bought Mike Oldfield Tubular Bells album. That's what.
Have you got any Shawaddy LPs? Or?
No, I haven't got a Shawaddy one. You know that was on Time in a Hands, wasn't it? That was reference to that, wasn't it? On Time in a Hands. I'll tell you what I've got in the corner. I'm sitting down. Can you see? I've got the Charles and Di plate as well, the wedding plate. Yeah. And can you see there's a cheese thing as well? You know, in Tea for Three, I've got the cheese thing that Rodney brings out.
Yep, and you've got Yappy Dog that he drops in the alleyway.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That episode, Healthy Competition, I think that is, isn't it? That episode, yeah. When he goes on his own, doesn't he, Rodney? With Nicky Pierce.
Sorry, my cat's just joining in.
Oh, that's all right. Mine's over there. So.
And then I've got Save the Whales. That was my latest one. Save the Whales, the collection tin there, the blue. Can you see that as well on there?
Thought I recognised.
Yes. Great collection.
Yeah. That actually, that weirdly, I don't know about you. When I watch the show now, weirdly, I'm not looking at the. Weird to say, I'm looking at the flat a little bit now of what next to get. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking what's on his bar, and I'm looking round. Quite weird.
You got a mini bar?
Yeah, I've got the bar. You probably can't see it because of the chair. That's the bar there. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. optics up there. I know he didn't have optics, but that's my optics. The picture at the top's one of my favourites. That's Sid, Denzel, Trigger, Marlene, Boycie, and Mickey Pierce. That's there. You probably can't see it on this, but all their autographs are on there as well.
Oh, wow.
Great.
Yeah, so that's quite a nice piece. Obviously, the elephant picture you can see there. That's in most episodes. The elephant picture, it is till about series 7, series 6, isn't it? The elephant picture. And the cookie jars I think the cookie jar's one of few things. I think it's in virtually every single episode from start to finish.
Yeah, and Dale puts his cigars in there, doesn't he?
Yeah.
What's his cigars? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You hear of some people though. I mean, they go on eBay, £150, something like that. But some people can see them in the charity shop. They bought them for like £2. You know, because some people wouldn't know what they were, do they? Really?
No.
There's a lot of people my age that has never watched Only Fools and Horses or never like seen it or anything. How they move?
Not seen it.
No, my best friend hasn't seen it, and she's saying, "Aidan, stop it."
It's
So
funny.
you're trying to get her to see it then, aren't you?
Yeah, but she won't watch it.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think you have to have grown up with it, really, or obviously been shown it at a young age. Because I love my girlfriend, but she doesn't like the show, and I'm like, how can you not like it? It's hilarious. I'll laugh my head off, but she won't find it funny, and I'm like, I'm just shocked.
My boyfriend, like, I want to say he's a big fan, but he'll watch it and he'll still laugh, but he's not a big fan as I am. But he still likes it, which is good.
Of course, my biggest, proudest thing I own one of the Trotter vans as well. I've got a replica Trotter van, yeah. Everyone calls them a Reliant Robin, but they're actually a Reliant Regal, aren't they? Reliant Regal Supervan 3. Yep. Yeah, and even the number plate on mine, I bought a number plate separate. It's the same plate as the one on the show. Do you know what the number plate is off the show, any of you, by the way?
DH some LV.
DHV 938D is the one off the show. And mine has an A at the end, so mine's DHV 938A. In fact, my number plate is up there. There's not my number plate, the number plate from the van. If you see it on there, on the top of the picture. There.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But this is an anorak for you as well. The first 2 series, the number plate was different, you know.
Oh, right.
On the van. It was APL 911H.
Wow.
And I think what happened was they didn't keep the plate registered or something, so they had to change it. So from series 3 onwards, so when you're watching it again, have a look. Series 1 and 2, APL 911H. Series 3 onwards, DHV 938D.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll all be analysing the show a lot more closely now, won't we?
Yeah, that's it. I couldn't tell you what the Capri Reg is, to be honest. I don't know what the Capri Reg is.
No. I live in Blackpool, and there's a replica of Only Fools and Horses van that lives not far from me, and I see it all the time.
So it puts a smile on your face whenever you see it.
Yeah.
Is that in Blackpool? Is that there's a guy? I think it's Fleetwood. He's got he's a film director, isn't he? He's got a Trotter van like me, and then he's got the one that carries the coffin in is like another van, but he's chopped the front end off, so the coffin goes in there, and it's called Only Fools and Hearses.
Oh, I've not seen that. I live in Cleveland, but I've not seen that.
Yeah, in Fleetwood. Darren Abbey, I think his name is actually. Yeah.
Having a look.
It's funny actually with you saying Blackpool. I was in Blackpool once, just out for the day with my family, and he was there parked up. No coffin, but he had the van and the hearse. I thought, oh, brilliant. Anyhow, my daughter went. I thought I'll take a few photos of it. You know, my daughter, as kids do, went right in front of the van. So I've got these pictures, and it's great with my daughter, but she's actually, I daren't tell her, but ruined the photo. Do you know, ruined the photo because I wanted the whole. You know, she's slap bang in the middle of it. You know. So just shows, doesn't it, what people go to? You know, what lengths really. They'll have a funeral in the Only Fools van. Yeah.
As we're talking about memorabilia, what's everybody's favourite items that Del Boy sells down the market? For me, it's got to be Trotter's Crash Turbans and the cats that sing "How Much Is That Doggy in the Window."
Sorry, I think other the Cindy dolls where he tips them up and then they make that weird noise. Is it a Cindy dolls? Is that what they're called?
I know what you mean. I'm not sure.
They speak. It's Chinese. They speak, don't they? Yeah. Doesn't they are Cindy dolls? But I can't remember what they are.
I can't. Something like that. And the dogs that you've got, are the ones that walk.
Yeah, they're a real item. They are, aren't they? You can get them, can't you? Those dogs. I think they bark and then they spin over, don't they? I think they were quite a well-known toy, actually. But it's funny, that episode, Healthy Competition, that he talks about Prince Charles wanting one for the little Prince William, doesn't he?
Yeah. So
he went to Bookhouse, he calls it, and dropped one off, and it was end of aggravation, end of story or something. Yeah. Yeah, for me, I think the item-wise, I think the ski wear one, that's quite good in Fatal Extraction. And Trigger walks past Rodney dressed up in the goggles and the ski wear, and he goes, "All right, Dave," you still recognise him, sort of thing, which is quite funny. Yeah. The Mustafa car stereo that we mentioned in Jolly Boys Out, and I think that's really good, where he says, as recommended by Nigel Mansell. The most money he made from an item really was the Peckham Spring. That was quite a good idea, wasn't it? Really.
Oh, idea.
I got a funny story about that. Years ago, I went to this exhibition at the NEC, and there was this Only Fools and Horses stand, and Boise and Marlene were there, John Chalice and Sue Holderness. I had a picture with them, I stuck in. But anyway, I bought this bottle of Peckham Spring, and I had it in my room for a couple of years, and it actually turned green.
You're joking?
Oh my God.
I'm not joking. I got rid of it because it went funny. I left the water in there, and it went a funny colour.
well, that's my Peckham Spring, and I was thinking I'd like to get it yellow. I'll have to get a yellow liquid or something, even I suppose washing powder liquid, washing liquid would do it, wouldn't it? Something, a conditioner. Sorry, that's the word I'm looking for. A washing conditioner. Pour it yellow into that.
But I was really surprised. I should have kept it really, but
yeah, you definitely should. Yeah. Do you know what my favourite item he sold? It wasn't particularly the item; it was the market scene. Was when Del Boy selling the infrared penetrating massager, I think he called it. When he's massaging Albert's back, one little rub, and then he's dancing away, isn't he? I think Del says, "One little rub and massage, and you turn into Wayne Sleep even." And then the crowd say, "Oh, he's just part of the act." And Del Boy goes, "We've never met in our lives, have we, sir?" And Albert turns around and goes, "No, Del, we haven't." Brilliant, really. Just
right.
Yeah.
I remember those telephones as well that would make the TV turn over to a different channel, or it went up one of their noses, didn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Del Boys, I think, wasn't it? Yeah.
What else was there?
But Del's showing Mike how the phone operates in that episode. I think it's called Little Problems. It's the wedding episode, actually. Del's showing Mike how the phone works. He's pressing all the buttons, and the TV behind that.
They're watching the racing, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it's Boise and Trigger are watching the racing, aren't they? Ready? It's just about to finish the race, and they must have had a bet on it, mustn't they? And they're getting excited, and then it just flicks over, like you say. Yeah.
Come on, out of the way.
And then he pushes the aerial down on the phone, and the TV actually goes off, doesn't it? It's snowing on the TV, sort of thing. But yeah, brilliant.
Right, come on, stop it now. Come on. Sorry.
Right. My cat's quite happy over there.
Don't work with animal and children,
eh? I've got 4.
Have you? Oh my God.
Yeah. This is
4 cats, or?
Yeah, 4 cats.
Oh. Well, my girlfriend's got 2, but I've got 2 as well. Yeah.
Wow.
It's only about 4-month-old, 3-month-old, something like that. It's only tiny.
I think we've done most of the questions, actually. There's just 2 that we haven't. We went over the funniest scenes, didn't we? Did we all talk about that or not? I can't remember.
I can't remember if we did.
let's do that one again then, because I can edit it in. Emily, what are some of the funniest scenes for you?
It's too hard to choose my funniest because obviously they're all. It has to be between the chandelier, when Del Boy falls through the bar. What else? Got four.
There's so many though, isn't there? I mean, it's very difficult. With the chandelier one, I mean, that always makes me laugh. I even laugh before it happens. It's brilliant, isn't it?
I think that's the moment, I think, isn't it? When they're up that ladder and Del just turns to Rodney and says, "Now brace yourself, Rodney, brace yourself." I think it's at that point in it where you know it's just about to come. And I think Ray Butt, again, the director, said to Nick Lyndhurst, Rodney, look, don't laugh. Once that chandelier hits the floor, it costs about £8,000, that chandelier, apparently.
They only had one take to do it and they couldn't laugh, could they? I don't know how they didn't.
No, they couldn't laugh. And he said, look, if you laugh, we've lost, Ray Butt said to Nick Lyndhurst, if you laugh, we've lost the episode. If we've lost the episode, we've lost the series, because they need 6 episodes for a series. And Nick Lyndhurst said, obviously, he was, he said, that's right, Ray Butt said, I'm going to fire you. I don't think he was, but he said, I'm going to fire you if you laugh. And Nick Lyndhurst is up there, with David Jason. And he says in the corner of his eye, you can see Ray Butt as the chandelier crashes, him laughing. Ray Butt's laughing with he sticks a handkerchief in his, in his mouth. And then when they say cut, Nick Lyndhurst says, once he said cut, I just turned the air blue with Ray Butt,
Wait, away from the phone. Come on.
Yeah, my favourite episode, definitely, like Emily says, and you say, Chris, the chandelier one, and T for 3 that I mentioned before, the hang gliding bit is really, really good for me. But Batman and Robin, I think, is really good when they crash into that wake. They think it's a fancy dress competition, don't they? A party. So they're going da na 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 na, and then I think Boise, which he could have told him on the doorstep, but being Boise, he didn't. When they're in there, Boise says to him, "Harry died," and as soon as Del gets told that, he sprays the I don't know what they call it, party spray at the widow, doesn't he, as well? Goes all over her hair.
I love Boise's line as well, because he said, "Look," Del Boy says to Boise, "Look, he's come as the Penguin," and then Boise says, "Not the Penguin, Del Boy, the Joker."
Yeah, and Del Boy says at the wake, he goes, "Why didn't you tell us out there?" And Boise goes, "Just forgot. It's strange what grief can do." And they does that, ha, and then he just stops, doesn't he? Then, yeah. Another one of mine as well, Danger UXD, Blow Up Dolls, series, one of the classic series 6 again. I think the best bit in that is when the Blow Up Dolls inflate behind the bar, don't they? They're just sitting there, and they hear a funny noise, don't they? I think they blame Albert to start with, thinking it's him, and then they just pop up. One of them pops up, and they just run out the flat, don't they? I think that's really funny.
Yeah, and they have to dress them up and pretend that they're on a date with them, don't they? Take them in the van.
That's right. A neighbour comes past, doesn't he? Goes, "Evening, Rodney. Evening, Del Boy. Evening, ladies." And Del has to go, "Good evening," doesn't he? To pretend that they're the girlfriends. Yeah. For me, like Emily touched on, though, probably not just the funniest moment in Only Fools and Horses, but the funniest comedy moment of all time has to be in Yuppie Love when Del falls through the bar. Play it nice and cool, Trig. Nice and cool. Know what I mean?
Right, but that wasn't meant to happen. I don't know if I'm right with that one. But
I think it was meant to happen, I think, but I think the sort of, I don't think John Sullivan didn't know when he was going to put it in, I don't think. And he just sort of, I think Trigger wasn't written into that episode much. And
he was filming something else, wasn't he? In the same,
right.
Went to film that bit.
Yeah, and I think he bumped into John Sullivan, because they're probably recording at the BBC studios, both shows. And I think John Sullivan said, "Have you got a couple of days free?" And he said, "Yeah." So then, I mean, to be fair, Trigger's the best one for it to be filmed with, isn't it? Because Trigger's so dozy. Anybody else would realise what Del's done, but Trigger hasn't realised what Del's done, has he?
I found one of them £5 notes the other day.
Yeah. Talk about money. You can't go wrong if you talk about money. Yeah, I've got one of them old £5 notes. And apparently Del says, "What are you doing in here, Trigger?" He says, Mike's thrown me out. He's accused me of nicking a pork pie. What do I want a pork pie for? And at the end of that scene, Trigger says, yeah, I don't want it, and gives Del the pork pie. And then Del takes a bite and realises, you know, oh, he hasn't nicked the pork pie after all.
But yeah, that scene, that has to be probably one of the best comedy moments ever. I mean, it's the timing, isn't it? The timing of the hatch opening, and then it's just hilarious, isn't it?
Yeah,
It is hilarious.
And no one realises what's going on, do they, at all? You know, you can't see that one coming, can you, really? It just looks like they're chatting away. And they always say David Jason takes a lot of credit, Del Boy, because how rigid he stands, doesn't he? You know, your natural reaction is to put your hands behind you, isn't it, when you fall? But he doesn't, does he? He keeps so straight, doesn't he? That makes it even funnier, really.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't know if you've been at all. Have you heard of there's an Only Fools and Horses bar in Liverpool?
I haven't been. I wanted to go, but I've never been.
And it's really good. And they've got a bar that you could, with a crash mat that you can fall through. I've got a video of myself falling through the bar, you know. Really good. I've been about 3 times, a couple of times dressed up as well as Del Boy.
Wow.
But one time I went in all my gear. I've got a sheepskin coat as well, and the red polo neck jumper as well. There's a guy there. He wanted to borrow my sheepskin coat all the time on each different, because they've got the trot. They've got some really good things. They've got the trotter flat there. They've got the bedroom there, and they've got this bar you can fall through. You know, and pictures all around. They've got a trotter van, which I'm going to be a little bit critical of, actually. It's not, and I've told them this, it's not a Regal, it's a Robin. And I don't know if you've ever seen a Regal and a Robin together. They look totally different.
Funny though, isn't it? Because everybody thinks it's a Reliant Robin, don't they?
Yeah, yeah. My mum and dad, my mum in particular, always says, "Oh, how's the Robin?" You know, or I leave it at my mum and dad's, and she always calls it a Robin. I always have to check her on it, you know. Just me being an anorak sort of thing. Yeah.
We were talking about Trigger as well. I mean, he has some of the funniest lines, doesn't he?
Oh, he does.
It gets me on the one on the Heroes and Villains, and it's on about how he's had this broom for 20 years. And Rodney goes, "That's 2 decades." He went, "I won't go that far."
Yeah, and it's had, I don't know what it is, 14 new heads and 12 new handles. And Sid goes, "Well, how could it be the same broom then?" And he shows a picture, goes, "Here's a picture of it. What more proof do you need?" Yeah, he's just brilliant. What one thing I always find really funny when I think, yeah, that's right, Cassandra and Rodney. I think they're having a baby or something, and they do a toast at the pub. So they go, "Cassandra and Rodney." So you hear all the crowd say that, and you just hear Trigger go, "Dave." Yeah. I don't know if it's quite subtle, but you're brilliant at the same time, you know.
Apparently, with the Dave line, that was in the first episode, and nobody laughed, nobody got the joke, and John Sullivan was considering removing it. But it's such a great joke now, isn't it?
It grew and grew, didn't it? Like you say, it's a 22-year-old joke, isn't it? That was recycled, but still funny, yeah. And then when Dels and Raquel are having the baby, Mike says to Trigger, "Go and find out off Rodney what's the name in the baby." So obviously Trigger goes over and asks, says, what they calling the baby? And he says, "Well, if it's a girl, they're calling it Sigourney after an actress." And then Trigger goes, "Well, what if it's a boy?" He says, "They're going to call it Rodney." And Trigger goes, "Who after?" And Rodney goes, "Well, after me." Then he goes back to the bar and says to Mike the story. He says, "Yeah, they're thinking a name. If it's a boy, they're calling it Rodney after Dave." You know, just brilliant again.
Another one that comes into my head is the Peckham Spring episode, where Trigger says, you know, where they have to take the waste to this recycling centre, don't they?
That's right.
And and with Trigger, he says it's 24 hours, but not at night.
Not at night, yeah. And how Roger Lloyd Pack played that character was brilliant, wasn't he? He was so sort of deadpan, wasn't he? And I think they said the other cast were like laughing about at him, really, weren't they? But I think he said, Roger Lloyd Pack, that he played it as though Trigger was right and it was everybody else that was wrong. That sort of thing, you know. Everybody, in his eyes, he was the clever one, really. It was everybody else that was daft, really. That blue suit as well. When we're talking about him now, all I can picture him in is that blue suit he used to wear as well.
No, but no Trigger's real name.
Yeah,
Colin, isn't it? Is it Colin?
it is quite right. Yeah, Colin Ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was one of those interesting facts that not many people know.
I didn't know until a couple of days ago when I saw on the Only Fools and Horses page on one of them. That's where I saw it.
He's the only actor, obviously Del Boy and Rodney. He's the only other actor though that appeared in the very first episode and the very last episode, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he was quite a serious actor, Roger Lloyd Pack. I mean, I don't know if everybody knows, but if you look at what he's acted in, apart from, but he's obviously always going to be known as Trigger, and also
Always.
in what's it called, The Vicar of Dibley. He was in. Do you remember where he played
Yeah.
a similar?
He played Owen. Owen, yeah. And he played in Harry Potter as well.
Yeah, much more serious role. But whenever I've seen him, apart from in those TV shows, he's always a very different character.
He was in Mr. Bean as well in the episode. He's a waiter in Mr. Bean as well with a ponytail.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot he was in that.
Yeah, but
apparently at his funeral, lots of people didn't know that he was a very serious actor, and he did a lot of Shakespeare, and but we'll always know him as Trigger, won't we?
He played really well.
Yeah.
That's it. The supporting cast really don't. They do get credit, but they don't get enough credit, do they? Like Trigger, Roger Lloyd Pack, Boycie, John Challis, Sue Holden, S. Marlene, Denzel, yes, Sid, Mickey Pearce, Patrick Murray, Jim Broadbent. You mentioned, didn't you, before? Slater.
That's what made it so great, in my opinion. It's like you said, the supporting cast. It's not just about the main characters. It's about that whole community, isn't it?
Yeah.
One actor, I can't remember his name in the actual series, is in the. Do you know when Rodney takes Nervous Nelly out and they're talking, and the young guy comes in? I don't know his name. I know he plays in Casualty now.
He plays Chris in the. He's not in many episodes. He plays a character called Chris. There's Chris, isn't there? That's in a couple of episodes.
Jevon, is it?
And Jevon.
Yeah.
The guy though, the guy in Casualty though is the guy who played Chris. Jevon was actually in EastEnders as well. I think his name was Clyde Tavernier in EastEnders. Yeah. Stephen Woodcock, I think, is the Denzel character. But
and he was a good character as well, wasn't he? And he wasn't a Londoner; he was a Scouser as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he? It's funny actually. I don't know if you do this, but like EastEnders has had quite a few characters. I mean, the famous one that Fools and Horses fans go on about is Jake Wood. Do you ever remember at the printing factory in Jolly Boys Outing? Rodney messes up the computer. He wipes the screen a couple of times, doesn't he? And Alan Parry walks in. There's a little, like an assistant young lad sitting on the computer. Pardon?
Does he play Max Brannan?
Yeah, Max Brannan. Yeah, that's right. That's that's quite a good one. And the girl Lisa in T for 3, she's in Frog's Legacy as well. The wedding, wasn't it? She was in EastEnders as well.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people who have had little parts and then gone on to do great things, really.
Yeah. Jim Brannan was in EastEnders, was in Fools and Horses, wasn't he? In the Longest Night episode, at the supermarket.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember that. Oh, yes, I remember the Shadow.
The Shadow episode, yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
I forget. I should know. I'm trying to think of the character name in the Longest Night. I know we called him Kuala Lumpur. He mentioned, didn't he? The Dixon of Kuala Lumpur or something, didn't he? Called him, yeah.
I think so. I can't remember the character's name.
Yeah, but brilliant. A brilliant episode again. That one.
I've been watching the first series recently, and an episode I quite liked from that was Cash and Curry. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah,
I like the way that it's probably the only episode, although I don't like Del to end up being conned, but it's the only episode where he really, really loses out, I think.
Yep. Because obviously he sells all his jewellery, the TVs, just for that little statue, and then it's in the curry house anyway.
The funny bit really is when they go with the statue, don't they, to back to the curry house that they'd met Mr. Rahm at a couple of days before, and he goes, "Can I speak?" Del Boy goes, "Can I speak to the owner?" "I am the owner." He says, "No, the real owner." And they go on, don't they? And no, we were talking the other night, and then they realise, don't they? Then, like you say, Emily, he points and says, "You can get them from Portobello Road."
Yeah.
For
20 bob on that.
It's brilliantly written as well, isn't it? I mean, it's a great con in many ways.
Yeah,
it's just a shame it happened to Del Boy and Rodney.
Yeah, and that. Sorry, Emily, go on.
Oh, it's all right, go on.
No, go on. No, sorry, go on.
There's another one that I like. It's when they buy them briefcases, and he tries to like con Trigger out of some money, and then Rodney's like, "No, it's this much," and then obviously puts it in the calculator right. And Del Boy is like, "Yeah, you need to watch them fingers; they easily break or something like that."
Yeah, that's right. That's Big Brother, the first episode.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fans who say, you know, when Del in that Big Brother episode, they walk into the Nag's Head, Del Boy says to a lady, all right, and she goes, all right, Del. And a lot of people say that's Raquel, you know, the actress. It's the same actress, Tessa Peake Jones, but a lot of the fans were saying it was, but it isn't. I don't know why I've even mentioned that, because it isn't actually her, but that's that.
No, I've never noticed that before.
Yeah, it isn't her anyway, but it does sound like her actually, but it's not her. And there's some actors that play a couple of different characters, isn't there?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the Aussie one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, Jumbo Mills he plays, doesn't he? In Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Series 5, I think that is.
That's a great episode. I watched that one recently as well with the car, when he sells the car.
Yeah, the Bible in the glove compartment. You belong to a vicar. You're not going to believe this. He's only left his Bible in the glove compartment. Yeah.
But the ending as well. I mean, he's in Boyce's E-Type Jaguar, isn't he? It just would happen, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, and then that Who Wants a Millionaire episode. There was talk, I think, of David Jason leaving the show at that point, and Nicholas Lyndhurst carrying on his own as Rodney, and they're going to call it Hot Rod, I think they were going to call it. Yeah, with just him. But then David Jason had a change of heart, so he rewrote the episode, you know, and the rest is history, isn't it? You know, he carried on for 15 years.
The episode where Gary is in the back of the lorry. All it says is Gary.
Gary.
Another guy who was in EastEnders, actually. Gary. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I say to anybody who doesn't like the later episodes. If we didn't have the later episodes, we wouldn't have had that episode, and that makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, and then I think it's the same episode actually. I think Strange is on the Shore. Rodney's trying to reverse the van into a space, isn't he? And he's taking a while. Trigger's there, you know, and so he takes a while, Rodney, to park the van, and then after about 5 minutes of Rodney eventually getting to park the van, Trigger goes, "Can't park there, Dave." You know, he just watched him struggle, but typical Trigger, that, isn't it?
It was brilliant how he came up with all these ideas, wasn't it, John Sullivan? I mean, just for example, that episode, I mean, brilliant writing.
Is it a Frog's Legacy where Rodney gets the job as what do you call it when they walk in front of a coffin? The hearse.
Yeah, Undertaker, isn't he? Yeah.
Like in Oliver, really.
Yeah. And he goes up the one-way street and causes massive traffic jam. That's another funny one.
Yeah, he didn't realise he's going to be working for an Undertaker, did he? And then he's Del's there, isn't he? In fact, Del's in the similar gear that I've got now, actually, isn't he? In that episode, and he calls him a git, I think, doesn't he? Git.
And you were saying earlier about one of the saddest scenes, obviously, when Rodney's talking about his miscarriage with Cassandra. And yeah, even at the end of that, he goes, "Git," doesn't he?
He does. And I watched a program where it talks about obviously behind the scenes and stuff. I think it was on like TV Gold or something, and someone was saying like when they was filming that, you could hear a pin drop. It was so silent, all the producers and everybody was tears in their eyes. But that came from the heart, I think, from obviously Nicholas. It did come from the heart, and it makes me cry every time. You know when it's coming, that's what makes me cry.
Yeah, because Tony Dow, who's another, he sort of did the filming of it. He said that John Sullivan realised after a while he could do both. He could make people laugh, but he could also make people cry as well. And it probably wasn't any of the sadness in it, was there, in the early series? If you think about it, with Grandad, it wasn't very serious, really, was it? It was just laughing and joking. Then as the series went on, he did put in these more, well, real life things in, didn't he, as well? You know, and yeah,
that's why I think it's the best, really, because it can make you laugh, make you cry with laughter, but it can also make you cry for real, can't it?
There's another episode that makes me cry. Is when it's Grandad's funeral, and Rodney's like, "You've changed," and then it's like, "How can you get over it so quickly?" And then Del Boy just like loses it, and it's like he can't. He's built up a character where he has to be confident and strong, doesn't show emotions, but yet deep down he's still hurting, he's still grieving, and he's very much upset. And that just is another one that makes me cry.
Yeah.
I think he says, "What a plonker you really are, Rodney," or something, doesn't he? Yeah.
I haven't even started to get over it. That's what he says, doesn't he? And I think there's another scene later on, the last episode, where he says, "I've always had to be the tough guy."
Yeah.
To Raquel, because she says only women bleed, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And yeah, that gets me as well.
Which relationship did you prefer? Did you enjoy sort of the Raquel Del Boy scenes more, or the Cassandra Rodney scenes more, or did you not really have a favourite?
Emily first.
A mixture of both, because it was nice to see Del happy, and like, because in the early series he'd get engaged to people, but then they'd want him to get rid of Rodney, and he couldn't do that, and he wouldn't do that. So it's nice to see Del Boy settling down, starting his own family with Raquel. But then I also like Rodney and Cassandra together. But I thought some of their arguments were funny. Obviously, it was stuff like when they got lost in the maze and they couldn't find the quickest route out, and then they argued. And I think, like I said, Rodney and Cassandra's more on the funny side, whereas Del Boy and Raquel, they're like more serious side.
Yeah. I know Rodney always used to say that Del Boy's engaged more times than the switchboard, didn't he? To him. Yeah. He fell in love quick, didn't he, Del Boy? Actually, that was quite strange, really, because he was such a quick thinking man. I always thought that he seemed to fall for a woman very quickly, didn't he? I mean, Heather, was it in
Diamonds Are for Heather?
Diamonds Are for Heather. You know, he was really loved up, wasn't he, early on, sort of thing with that. Yeah, that was another good episode, wasn't it? He gets jilted at the end, doesn't he? And it's Christmas, isn't it? And he gets the choir, doesn't he, to the carol singers, I should say, to sing Old Shet, doesn't he?
And you mentioned Raquel and Del Boy. I mean, that's got to be one of the funniest moments for me. We were talking about that earlier, but when he finds out she's a stripper and he's hired her for Uncle Albert's party.
Yeah, that is good, isn't it? It dates, isn't it, that one? Yeah, it's Albert's birthday, isn't it? Yeah, brilliant.
But even at the end of that, that's quite sad, because he's blown it with her, isn't he?
Yeah.
And that leads on to the Jolly Boys outing, doesn't it, then? He doesn't see her then till the chance meeting at the Mardi Gras, isn't it, then? And that's how they get back together again, isn't it?
Yeah. I think they make a good couple. Like, obviously, Del Boy and Raquel. They do make a lovely couple.
Yeah.
Do you know who a lot of the fans say that Del should have gone with or made a go of it with? June Snell. Do you remember June Snell? She was in a couple of episodes. She was in...
Was she the one with the kid called Debbie?
That's right, yeah. And she was in Royal Flush as well. He took her to the opera, didn't he?
Yes.
And they're scoffing, aren't they? They're eating all through the show, making noise, both of them, aren't they? And everything. It's because Rodney's with Vicky, isn't it? Victoria, who's got royal blue blood, hasn't she?
Yep.
I think the dad's the Duke of Mailbury, isn't he? Not Duke of Mailbury.
Yes.
Yeah.
And with Rodney and Cassandra, I think they're a perfect couple. They suit each other well. You know.
Yeah, they do. The only thing I would say, I think they got the Raquel got a bit serious. They put her a bit serious in the later episodes, didn't they? She became a bit of a nagger, didn't she, in the later episodes?
Last, like in the one where he cleans out the allotment, is it Peckham Springs?
Yeah, Mother Nature's son.
That's the one.
Yeah.
It's very moody in that one, I thought.
Do you know something I can do? I don't know if you can do this. UK Gold obviously show the episodes a lot, don't they? This doesn't possibly put me in a good light, but what I tend to do when I hear it come on UK Gold, I close my eyes and I name the episode. So all I've got is the hearing of the the episode starting, and 9 times out of 10 I can nail the episode within about 10 seconds.
Wow. By the like when it's coming up, like the theme tune, obviously I don't know them, but like the first few lines, I can sort of guess what's going to happen, because I can't remember all the names of the episodes. That many, I can't remember all the names.
There's quite a few. There's quite a few episodes I can say word for word. I could act it out really.
Yeah.
I'd be quite confident if somebody give me all 64 episodes, and obviously have to randomly jumble them up. I reckon I could probably, I don't think I could do all 64, but I reckon I could get 58, 59 with about a 10-second, blindfolded. I could name the episode, the series, and the year probably. Bookie Street.